The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Scratching major itch. So enjoy your fruity pebbles, you yabba dabba bitch.
They're killing! And CM Punk, and I am the voice of the voiceless.
Be the man! You gotta beat the man! Woo, woo, woo! You know it. I got okey doke by the
Live from the Pro Wrestling Report studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Monday Night Meltdown with your hosts, Damian Nelson and David Hero.
I'm proud to say we're doing things the Vince McMahon way.
That's the bottom line. What? Let's go.
Bringing you all the latest news and views from professional wrestling. Monday Night Meltdown is on the air.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Monday Night Meltdown. This is Matthew Thomas filling in for Damian Nelson tonight. Joined alongside me, as always, is David Hero himself. We're going to be going to the phone zone a little later in the evening to find out what you thought of this go-home edition of Monday Night Raw, the last Raw before the Survivor Series 2012. A number to call is 1-877-317-9772. Again, that's 1-877-317-9772. Want to find out your thoughts and let us know if you thought Raw was a pass or a fail tonight. We will also have the Twitter sphere open as we're on the air. At PWR Show is our Twitter handle. Cruise on over there and let us know what you thought of the show tonight. Before we get started, would like to wish everyone a happy Veterans Day. Here in the States, a lot of people celebrating today. I'd like to thank all the service members and their families, both past and present, for all you do for this great nation. Before we get underway and breaking down the last Raw prior to Survivor Series, I want to start off the night by saying that as we sat here some 9 weeks ago now, not knowing the fate of Jerry Lawler, not knowing, honestly, if he would make it, not knowing if we would ever see him back in a WWE ring. Tonight, literally little more than 2 months removed from that night, to have Jerry Lawler back on Raw tonight at the commentary table, I have a hard time even finding words. David, to start things off tonight, Jerry Lawler back at the announce table some 9 weeks after that horrible Monday night.
And you wouldn't know it by listening to the King calling the action tonight. I mean, if somebody would have told me that, 9 weeks ago he had the heart attack, clinically dead, 20 minutes, 7 zaps with the paddles, that's the same guy. Wouldn't believe it. Did a fantastic job. It was good to hear the King back. I wish that they would keep Jim Ross involved in the equation. I just think they could tell so much more and get the stories across and whatnot. But hey, you know what? The King is back. Him and Michael Cole hugged it out. And, that's the team going forward.
He clearly didn't seem to miss a beat at all. He looked great. He sounded great. There was times at night with him and Cole, you could just sense almost a little bit of giddiness amongst the two at the announce table. It was just phenomenal to see and hear him back in action. And honestly, that is going to work to segue into what a lot of people are going to be talking about around the old water cooler tomorrow night, or tomorrow at work, rather. We had some interesting comments made by one CM Punk. Lawler would, of course, enter the ring, exchange hugs with both JR and Cole, and give a sincere and emotional thank you to all of the fans and all of his friends and family that have, of course, supported him during this time. He would be cut short by CM Punk, who would go on to, among other things, tell Lawler that he thought his heart attack was basically brought on himself. That was basically the result of what happens when a 62-year-old man tries to get in the ring and mix it up with the best in the world, and that the amount of time he was clinically dead didn't matter. The only thing that really mattered and the only time span that was relevant was the number of days that Punk has been champion. And things started to really derail at this point, or at least I thought so, David. We then have Paul Heyman go on to fake a heart attack. And I can honestly say I cannot remember another time in recent memory where something has been as difficult to watch as this. Did WWE cross the line with this segment tonight, David?
For me personally, absolutely. I mean, I remember back when Ric Flair faked his heart attack or had his heart attack on Nitro, 15 years ago. But I mean, let's face it, what Jerry Lawler went through and how the wrestling world was captivated and tuned in and paying attention and tweeting and texting and Facebooking and calling and everybody saying, oh my God, what's going on with the King? And just how the world stopped, the wrestling world stopped 9 weeks ago to make fun of it. And now let's not forget that Brad Armstrong, brother of the Road Dogg and referee Scott Armstrong, less than 2 weeks ago died from a heart attack. I just think that it's too soon. It's something that, who knows, maybe I'm just too old. Maybe it's not for me anymore. But I don't know if I was as upset as I was disappointed that they felt that's the route they had to go to try to get heat for CM Punk. I mean, the fans are already booing the guy. I mean, he's already in a program with the two most popular guys in the company with Ryback and Cena. I don't think they had to go that far. And for the people that are online saying, oh, well, Jerry Lawler obviously signed off on it. What does that mean? I mean, it means that maybe somebody from creative said, hey, this is the direction Vince wants to go in. What do you think? What is Jerry Lawler going to say? No? Of course he's going to agree. I mean, he's from old school. He gets it. He understands that's how they want to do business. That's what they're going to do. Even if the King said, no, I don't like it, they would still do it. But disappointed and, kind of disgusted that the WWE would do something like that. Don't build it up that the King's returning. Long live the King. Here comes the King. Then to make a mockery of it. They made it into a storyline, which I get. That's what they do in wrestling. But I don't know. I just think too many people were too close, too emotionally involved for something like that to happen. And let's hope it's a long time before we see something like that ever again.
If one thing became clear to me tonight, it was the fact that they want to do whatever they can do to turn everybody in that arena against Punk. During his heel run, he still had, his predominant cheering sections, and a lot of the IWC, if you will, is still behind him. But tonight, more than anything, seemed like just a clear shot at just trying to turn everybody against him and to get everybody to boo him. And honestly, I don't think there is anything that he could have done tonight short of burning a flag and or a bobble to elicit that type of response.
You're absolutely right. I mean, they got the guy they wanted. Now they got the number one heel in the entire company. Yeah, he's still going to be cheered, a little bit here and there, but the promo he cut, the actions they did, now have made CM Punk the most hated man in the company.
We would also see Mick Foley come out at the end of that segment and cut what I thought was a very, very good promo, as he's done many times here with Punk over recent weeks, and that would eventually set up the main event for tonight, where we would see CM Punk go up against John Cena with Mick Foley as the special enforcer outside. Foley would actually come into the equation at one point, dragging Paul Heyman out of the ring as he attempted to get involved. The finish of the match would see Punk attempting to leave the ring, only to have his exit blocked by one Ryback. Cena would then go on to pick up the win, which would result in a Cena Ryback stare down, and then an eventual a little bit of a tug of war with the WWE title as we went off the air tonight. Now, seeing that picture there, Cena and Ryback holding the belt, little tug of war match with Punk watching over the ring apron, that was our go-home scene to Survivor Series. And the question is ultimately going to become, did that, along with the rest of the setup to Survivor Series, do the trick tonight, David, as far as promoting that pay-per-view and getting you to want to press the buy button come Sunday?
You know, I don't know if tonight's Raw did it for me as far as wanting to buy the pay-per-view. I mean, the Survivor Series alone, the brand, the name Survivor Series should make you want to do it regardless of how they build it up. But let's face it, we've seen so many of these matches already. I mean, every week it seems like it's just a repeat or just a little bit of a tweak here and there. The most interesting dynamic right now is with The Miz on Team Foley. Who would have thought that would happen? You know, I mean, but obviously that's the way the company wants it. I mean, if you follow The Miz, if you follow Zack Ryder, if you follow Santino Marella on Twitter, Santino Marella was the only one of the three that was not tweeting about being on Team Foley. So they obviously did not want that to happen. But The Miz is a baby face or so. Maybe he's gonna, do the swerve and break everyone's heart, break Damian Nelson's heart, who's down there in Orlando on the OBT partying up right now with his good close personal friend Jameson. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how the three-way goes with Cena, Punk, and Ryback. I said on this past Saturday night's prime time that I don't know if Cena and Punk are willing to do business with Ryback. Ryback's been unstoppable. Well, John Cena's pretty unstoppable too. Which one is going to flinch first? CM Punk, got tossed all around in that cage by Ryback. Is CM Punk going to let that happen again on Sunday? So for me, that's the dynamic. I'm going to sit through 2 hours and probably 32 minutes on Sunday waiting for that triple threat main event, and we'll just see how it plays out then.
When I look at the WWE title match for Survivor Series and just thinking up the road to December, I just keep wondering to myself, it feels like we're in a bit of a holding pattern. And I keep going back to the announcement on Raw 1000 of The Rock wrestling the WWE champion at the Royal Rumble. And I think, at least in my case, and I've got to guess that it's like that for a lot of people, everybody is still looking ahead to Rock versus presumably Punk, with as big as the streak has been built up, as big as his title reign has been built up. That's what I keep going back to in my head, and the likelihood of him dropping that title between now and Royal Rumble, anything can happen, but it just seems like that is the match that everybody is looking past these next 2 months to get. And my concern with the way that they've booked that almost 6 months in advance, have they booked away any of the suspense in the triple threat match Sunday and the title match at the next pay-per-view, because you have so many people that are looking up the road expecting Punk Rock come Royal Rumble?
No. I mean, I think what they're doing is going to be a Hogan Ultimate Warrior type deal, where maybe the Royal Rumble is going to be John Cena versus Ryback, or maybe it's John Cena versus Ryback in December, where then those two guys are out of the equation, and then they just, get the build for CM Punk, to get ready for him for The Rock. I mean, you got to figure The Rock's going to be coming back soon. He's going to be putting his 2 cents in, because that's, that's just who he is. But I think so far the buildup has been right. You have kept Cena and Ryback separate. There was no miscommunication tonight. They didn't get involved physically. And, you know what? They have built this three-way the right way. But like I said, I'm not too sure what the payoff is going to be.
On the subject of John Cena, we would once again have more developments in the AJ John Cena scandal. We would have Vicky make her way to ringside to further introduce some additional evidence tonight. Vicky would then call AJ to ringside in an attempt to coerce a confession in regards to her alleged affair with John Cena. We would then get some additional voicemails played that AJ allegedly left on John Cena's voicemail. Basically, what would break down to more of the same as we've been getting from the AJ scandal angle for the last few weeks. And as much as I may try to get invested in this, I can't make it work, David. I cannot. I'm struggling to get in the storyline here.
I just think they're looking for something to keep AJ busy. I mean, or does AJ get involved in in this match on Sunday? I mean, right now Punk isn't involved in it, but maybe Punk is a mastermind with Paul Heyman. There's always layers, lots and lots of layers. Not like onions, but more like parfaits. Everyone loves layers, and you just got to figure somehow at the end of the day, when all is said and done, and like King Kong Bundy would normally say, there's usually more said than done, AJ will find a way to screw over John Cena. Not in the hotel room, but somehow live on television.
She's allegedly already done that, though, right?
Oh, allegedly, yes.
Alleged being the key word there. We also have some development on the World Heavyweight Championship side of the tracks tonight. That would see Sheamus mix it up with David Otunga pulling off a decisive win. He would then be interrupted by Big Show on the Titantron, knocking out Regal, who he had a match with earlier in the night. So got a little bit more development there on the SmackDowns on the World Heavyweight Championship side of the tracks, which I got to say, David, since we've seen Sheamus's involvement with Regal over the last week, because we saw those two together on SmackDown last week, and then, of course, the resulting video from the Barroom Brawl, it seems like we're starting to see a little more of an aggressive side of Sheamus, a little bit more of a fiery side to his character. Tonight and also on SmackDown, it wasn't the traditional jovial Sheamus who comes out and is jokey and is happy-go-lucky. We're starting to see a little bit of that fire there. He's starting to, frankly, get pissed off about some stuff, which I think will go a long ways as far as the long-term development of his character.
And it's what he needs to do, because right now I don't think the Big Show has ever been better than what he's been doing right now. His match with Sheamus at the last pay-per-view was #tremendous, and Sheamus has to elevate his game. He has to have that aggression. He has to have that fire, and he can't be funny, luck of the Irish guy right now. He's fighting a giant. He's not fighting someone the same size or smaller than him, and he's doing it right. And Sheamus and Big Show, I think, will have another fantastic match on Sunday.
Definitely one that I'm looking forward to. Honestly, I cannot remember the last time I had this much interest in the World Heavyweight Championship. I think these two have done a great job over the last month in this program, and I'm right there with you on that. Really looking forward to that match as well. Well, tonight would also see Brad Maddox versus Ryback, with Brad Maddox having a $1 million contract on the line should he pick up a win. We did have plenty of medical personnel handy ringside, which Brad Maddox would ultimately end up needing. Ryback would have his way with Maddox from the start and pick up a decisive win. However, it wouldn't end there, as Ryback would continue the beatdown after the match. The beatdown outside the ring took quite a while, and I guess, David, my real big surprise here was, given the length of time that the outside the ring beatdown went on, I kept expecting for a reversal of the decision, and we never got that, or at least didn't get that tonight.
Yeah, brutal. It was brutal. It was, please someone explain to me where the payoff was on that. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah, we get it. Brad Maddox screwed Ryback. He's going to get a chance to win $1 million contract. Let's shoot this kid out there and kill him. He got nothing in, did nothing in the match. So talk about, it just goes to show that they had no idea what they were going to do in that Hell in a Cell match. And that's the best they could come up with. And they wanted to get away from that as quick as they could. Now, who knows? Maybe Brad Maddox will be back on Sunday. Maybe he might be the referee at one point during that triple threat. But let's face it, if he's the referee, he should be hobbling out like the Spirit of 76, all bandaged and wrapped up if he comes down to the ring, because he took a butt whooping tonight. But, who knows? But, Brad Maddox, let's hope we don't see him on TV for a little while.
Yeah, that would definitely, if you see him back Sunday or see him back in a week, that's definitely going to take some believability away from it. I will say this much, though. Over the last 2 weeks, which is really all the exposure that we really had to him as a character, I've enjoyed the guy. He's definitely got a certain something as far as it pertains to, just his swagger, just his character. Now, granted, we really haven't seen anything of him in a WWE ring per se outside of tonight, but he was. You
didn't see anything even during the match. He did nothing tonight.
Yeah,
he did nothing. He was a crash test dummy for Ryback tonight.
He's working on that YouTube show, though. David.
Oh, he must be working on something. Brutal.
Well, hey, guys, we are going to take a little break here. Then we're going to come right back and jump into the phone zone and answer your telephone calls and get your thoughts on tonight's Raw. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with you.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real. Don't forget to follow PWR right here on Blog Talk Radio right now. Be reminded of upcoming episodes and never miss Blog Talk Radio's most popular sports show. Follow PWR now. Missed an episode on the Pro Wrestling Report? Thanks, pal. Subscribe to the show on iTunes and take the show with you wherever you go, even in the bathroom. They know their way around the wrestling ring, but certainly not a whole hell of a lot about being in it. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Radio. There's only one place to get the latest from pro wrestling, including the only place to get 100% verified wrestling news. PWRshow.com. PWRshow.com, where you'll never find pop-ups or misleading headlines. Watch or listen to all of our latest TV and radio broadcasts on demand. And get caught up on wrestling news between episodes. PWRshow.com is the cleanest, friendliest, and most fan-friendly source for wrestling news on the web. Covering pro wrestling like no other, this is Monday Night Meltdown Live on Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Monday Night Meltdown. This is Matthew Thomas coming to you alongside David Hero tonight, breaking down Monday Night Raw for November the 12th, 2012. We are about to jump into the phone zone to take your calls and see what you thought of Raw tonight. Meathead has been working hard behind the scenes, and I understand he's got a real good caller lined up here. Meathead, who do we have?
Are we doing pass or fail? Your choice.
I'd say let's save the best for last. So let's start off with the fail.
How about CJ from Mobile, Alabama? You're on the Monday Night Meltdown.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing today?
What's going on, CJ?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I just want to go up and say I just give the WWE today a fail. And this is my reason why. David, you could probably understand that, in normal three-ways, you'll have a traditional set where you have two heels against the baby face. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In this set now, you have two baby faces going against a heel, which is automatically given to let you know that this heel is going to win. Because normally, with two baby faces, two heels versus a baby face, the baby face overcomes and triumphantly beats the two heels, giving him
or does one of the babies turn heel?
Well, that's true, but something else is obvious too. Two things is obvious during this Sunday's pay-per-view. You're gonna have Punk regain his championship again, and two, one of the two guys is gonna turn heel, and we already know it's gonna be Ryback because they're not gonna let John Cena, their baby, go off and turn heel.
So you're saying tonight's show is a pass or a fail?
It's a fail because there's no unpredictable situation going on. This is what a lot of WWE fans I've heard online are wanting. They're wanting the unpredictableness that we have in the 80s, in the mid-90s, and maybe even the early 2000s. They're just being too sloppy, fellas.
There's a whole lot of different scenarios, but they got to end up having Punk versus Rock at Royal Rumble. That's what apparently all the fans want to see. But I don't think it's as cut and dry. There's still a month in between, pay-per-views, between this and the Rumble. I mean, I know they're definitely playing the streak, which I will have my thoughts and opinions on CM Punk's streak on this week's PWR Primetime Extra. But I have to agree. I think tonight's show is a fail. I don't think they did anything that made me want to press the buy button any quicker than just, any other pay-per-view in the past.
Thank you so much for that call, CJ. And David, everybody's jumping ahead to Rock Punk at the Royal Rumble. Something else that is not being discussed, and it doesn't seem likely, but what about the possibility of having Cena gain a title prior to the Rumble and having Rock Cena 2 at the Rumble? Now, I know that that's everybody looking up the road to WrestleMania. That's a big rumored WrestleMania match, but is there a possibility, you think, of getting that at the Rumble instead?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they kind of said once in a lifetime, right?
Right.
So, do the fans want to see a Rock Cena 2? I don't know. I mean, there's other opportunities, other options. I mean, there's a Rock Undertaker, there's a Rock Punk, there's a Rock Brock. There's a whole lot of different scenarios that they could go with the Rock. But I mean, yeah, it seems to point at John Cena, but then where does that leave CM Punk at WrestleMania?
Right. I think there'd be a segment of fans that would be a lot more susceptible to seeing Rock Cena at the Rumble as opposed to WrestleMania, because same thing, like you just said, David, the once in a lifetime, especially the once in a lifetime at WrestleMania. If you were to get that for 2 straight years at WrestleMania, I think it would definitely take away from some of the specialness of it. So it's, who knows? We've still got a lot of time before the Rumble. We've still got a lot of time before WrestleMania. So enough of our fantasy booking right there. I understand we have got a pass lined up in queue. Meathead, who do we have?
I believe it's a first-time caller. This is Dario from Chicago. Go ahead. You're on the Meltdown.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Here's the thing. Right now, CM Punk and Paul Heyman are the ones who are making Raw watchable. Their promos are just awesome. They're getting a lot of heat. You know who CM Punk reminds me of? He reminds me a lot of Just Incredible from ECW back in the 90s. You know, remember all that heat he was having when he interrupted a 10-bell salute to Tommy Dreamer's grandfather?
You know what? Yeah, yes, I can see some of that.
Yeah, I mean, back then he was getting a lot of heat. He caned Francine in the face. And I think this is where the direction that Paul Heyman is trying to get CM Punk. He's trying to make him like the most hated person in wrestling.
He definitely made strides toward that tonight. I think some comments really made some people feel uncomfortable tonight. But hey, you know, one thing as uncomfortable as it got at times, is there an element, David, of now that we can use the Lawler thing in an angle, is there a little bit of an element of everything is okay and everything is back to normal now because we can use it for storyline purposes? I know it's kind of hard to maybe get that, but I'm wondering in the back of my head, even subconsciously, does that kind of communicate that to the fans?
Honestly, it's a coin flip. I mean, it's so hard to figure out what direction they want to go in with that kind of stuff. Do they want to make money off it? Do they want to make a storyline? Do they want to sell T-shirts about it? Do they want to have magazine articles about it? I guess right now they don't even know what they feel is going to be acceptable or not, for the fans and how they want to use it. I think that, you got a guy like CM Punk that doesn't need to get cheap heat by making fun of Jerry Lawler's death. And you know what? It wasn't Punk's call. I'm sure he was handed talking points and like, this here's what we're going to do. And he's following the marching orders. But, what happened to just good old fashioned being a heel? Going out there and just saying you're going to lie, cheat, and steal. Why you got to make fun of something like that? But I'm going off on a rant that I told Damien I would save for later in the week. So.
Yeah, it was, I'm looking at it kind of like you are, David, from a perspective of we're the go-home show prior to the pay-per-view, and there really wasn't a lot tonight to really necessarily get me excited about Sunday or make me want to push that buy button. It is the Survivor Series. It is one of the big four, and there were different elements added to it tonight. Putting the Miz on Team Foley added a little bit more of an intrigue, but honestly, there wasn't a lot of extra push there tonight to get me to buy the pay-per-view. And I don't know if part of that is due to the fact that it seems like we've had so less time rather coming out of Hell in a Cell and Survivor Series to build this last pay-per-view cycle. Basically, it seemed like we had forever. What was it, like 5 or 6 weeks from Night of Champions into Hell in a Cell, and it's been a little bit more rushed and a little bit more forced. It's felt to me, at least this time. So, yeah, a good night in the fact that, hey, Lawler is back 9 weeks after being clinically dead for some time. The guy's back calling the matches on the commentary table. So it gets a pass in my book just for that. As far as the direction they went building up Survivor Series this Sunday, they kind of fell short. Well, that is going to wrap us up for tonight. Join us again on a Thursday night for Sudden Impact. Me and Meathead are going to be breaking down the fallout from Turning Point and seeing what goes down in the Impact Zone on Thursday. And we're also here for prime time this Saturday. And David, we're just a few short weeks away from Blizzard Brawl, correct?
Blizzard Brawl 8 on Saturday night, December 1st. And let me just tell you, it's going to be a humongous show. Rikishi and Too Cool, Billy Gunn, Armando Estrada, Big Sexy Kevin Nash, Terry Marlena Runnels, Demolition, Robbie E., Al Snow, the Honky Tonk Man, Larry Zbyszko, and so much more going to be in Milwaukee. Go to blizzardbrawl.com for all your information.
Hey, Dave, I got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Have you made travel arrangements for Mr. Thomas yet so he can come in and see this amazing, humongous show?
You know what? Absolutely, I have. I'm just waiting for Damien to sign off on all the travel purchases.
Aha!
So let's hope his Jameson, bill isn't too expensive in Orlando this week.
Got it.
It can add up, no doubt. Well, that's going to do us for tonight. For the man they call Meathead, for David Hero, this is Matthew Thomas signing off. We'll talk to you guys next time.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real.